We are back looking at the crypto market in general. It's hit by FTX, we all know that. But if you are watching what is happening in this system right now, there is a lot happening, but some of these are really interesting to watch. Just listen to like 10 seconds of this, you're gonna get mind-boggling conspiracy theories jumping out.
My job to significantly increase the size of the balance sheet because that's all we had. Otherwise, the economy would have collapsed and it would have been even accelerated by a financial crisis.
You had to do it. It was the COVID crisis. You say that's what we needed to do. But how do you get it?
It will come. It will come. In due course. Yeah.
How?
In due course, it will come.
Yeah.
Now, that is a general question being asked after ballooning the money supply, this much debt. How are you actually going to get that debt to the downside, right? That was a big question, and the response from ECB head is just like, it will come, and it's going to come in due course. Now, that's something really interesting. And as you go through this is, a must watch. Another 10-second kind of gives you another perspective, which is like, okay, that does mean the money system is going to change. How is it going to change? Let's watch this.
If the size of your debt problem is so big that it can't be paid off, and in fact, even inflation, which is the usual way you would seek to default on your debt slowly over time, you can't get enough inflation generated, then there is one further option, and that is you literally abandon the entire system of money and accounting. And I know that sounds unbelievably radical, but we've seen it happen before. And I explained the example of Britain in 1834, when they abandoned the traditional system they'd used for 1,000 years at that time, which was called the tally stick system. Anyway, bottom line was, why would you abandon a system that's worked perfectly beautifully for 1,000 years? And the answer is, you had 200 years of war debts that had accumulated. They were unable to get inflation up enough without causing social unrest. And so the government said, hey, let's...
Now, is the inflation up? It is sky high. Is it slowing down? In some parts of the world it is, but not everywhere. And right now, US is the biggest detonation in the world with the debt sky high. This is something which you have to think about. If history has shown you that this is a huge probability and they may come in, this can really happen. It's not only looking at US, Europe and all. You see this happening with a lot of different nations where their household debt is sky high. Credit card debt is going through the roof, and all of this at a time when the interest rates are going up. Now, why is this so interesting for us? Why in crypto? But this is XRP. For me, that's literally like this. When an individual like Mark Cuban, a successful entrepreneur, shows this, I'm like, yeah, that is what we are standing for. That's why we are investing in an asset which we believe and see on a daily life that is producing value, right? So here he states, I have said from day one, the value of a token or a crypto asset is derived from the applications that run on its platform and the utility they create. Look at XRP Ledger and what type of projects are being built on top of it, and how much utility they are producing. Now, that's where you look through a lot of different stuffs in the world and you're like, not a lot of people really understand. Like, say I saw a tweet from a guy saying, in Philippines, not a lot of people actually understand they are using XRP while they are transferring money. And yeah, that's the biggest stuff here. They still save money if you are doing that. And that's the utility part of this, which a lot of people are missing right now. And when you listen to this one, it's kind of, mind-boggling to really listen to all of these guys trying to screw Brad in a way when they are the best in the entire space right now, with a strong balance sheet, with a strong asset, with a strong business model. And, people like Ran, our crypto Mandarin comes out and asks like, okay, is it being... You are transparent, agreed, but is it because you're being forced by the regulators? And I'm like, as far as I remember from 2017 or before that, they are doing this. They're giving you the clarity. And I still remember a video where literally Brad asked Joe Lubin, how much ether do you sell or hold? there was no answers for that. Whereas Brad Garlinghouse has been transparent from the day one. So if you are listening to this one, that's going to be really helpful to see what the narrative out there is when people push Brad back and he has to actually give you that clarity. And even after he breaks it down like a kid will understand, some of them are not understanding that. So that's where you really have to think that's how the system works. And then you're looking at different stuff. Okay, different exchanges are having this issue right now. So if it's true, this just loaded them with a lot of money. And we are right now watching exchanges moving in to buy more and back up their project using debt. Welcome to the scientific investor family, where the normal retail guys learn how to become the next top 10% of the world. If you remember yesterday, we talked about this asset. In the morning yesterday, it was like $1.2 and it went all the way up to 2.3. So if you were in that asset position well enough through that breakout here, you literally had an opportunity to take 80 to 100% if you are a short-term trader. So the market is doing that because of something. Why? People are moving in more towards self-custody. You can see decentralized exchange tokens, self-custody wallets, their tokens is slowly going up in the market, given that you should understand the risk. Not everyone will be able to trade short-term. Not everyone will be able to take benefit of the dips. Because if you know that this asset is going to go to $5 and you expect with the risk factor like $4, and it drops around 2.5 to 2, you're like, okay, should I be moving out? That's panic if you really don't know what your target is and you really don't understand what buying a dip means. So if you are looking at these kind of tweets right when you want to get these opportunities, you can look at the Patreon. The link is given in the description below. Now, going back to this one, this is something which is really interesting to me, and one of my member from the SI family actually highlighted this to me, like, okay, talk this in detail. And I'm like, yeah, that actually is something serious. This is the part of XRP in history. That is SEC case. When that case dropped, that was not a price action happening. It was a short-term news turning into something fundamental, right? So you kind of see how the market reacted there. It's clear. It drops heavy, so you get the A, you bounce, B, and you drop back again, C. So that's your C leg there making a low. But if you really observe something here, you kind of get something clear, right? You're making a lower low here in the price at a time when the RSI making a higher low. So you started getting bullish divergence. So right now in the market, if you are trying to see what's happening, you kind of get similar picture here, right? You're looking at this and it's like, okay, that's a great opportunity. That means if this support breaks from here, that's close to 0.33, we are looking for 0.29, 0.3 range. That is literally following the history. Now, why do we say that right now? When you look at the MACD kind of was maximum opened, which usually shows, okay, we may have another leg down, but we are close to the bottom. Then you look at the RSI, which is something similar to this one. Even though the price is somewhere close enough, it's still holding higher. So it's trying to put a higher low in terms of the strength index. Great. So that means a bullish divergence forming. So if you break 0.33, then your next leg is 0.29, 0.3, agreed, but it just goes back all the way towards this one. That was a market impacted by news just for XRP, agreed. This time it's for the entire crypto market, and you also see exchanges doing this. So that's why I'm like, okay, yes, there is a lot of concern, but the way I'm thinking about this is like, okay, fine, you are an exchange owner. You lost the money of a lot of people because FTX is done. But right now, to buy back the same number of units, you don't need that much amount. Imagine a lot of people put money in, say 10 million XRP into your exchange. At that time, when the price was $1, it was 10 million. Great. Now the price is 0.3. So you don't really need 10 million to buy back those same number of units of XRP to give back to your customers. Make sense? So they can literally come back into the game. But the issue is how many of us are really willing to put our money in exchanges, even if it's really a great exchange. Maybe you may put 5% if you portfolio there, just to move things around, but not 90%, right? So that's a concern for a lot of these centralized exchanges for sure. And that is happening right now in the market. And as we get more understanding about how things were evolving here, it does not look good. But what you have to understand is this was one of the primary reason we were saying, okay, this can have a major breakout, even though way before that, we showed you like this was the stuff and we entered into a trade before that. October 19th, we entered into this trade for this one. Now that was like, we were moving some of our rewards here and there and dropped it into TWT. That's Trust Wallet. And as we observe, we just did 100% there. So you always do have an option to think like, okay, now if you are in node projects and if you are still getting something small here and there, accumulate it and drop it into projects where you think it can do well. Why is that? Because you're looking at the exchanges and you see like, okay, the inflow of Bitcoin to the exchanges are dropping. People right now don't believe they should be in exchanges. Now, in other words, you can say, okay, that can be selling volume, but that can also be people moving out of exchanges, which is good. Why? They're not going to sell in any small panic news in the market because they already moved out of the exchange. So in one way, if you're looking at that, that's actually a positive side. But in general, this is going to impact the market because the regulators, the policymakers, all of them are now on a high alert in US just because one offshore platform did this. Now, they don't really understand why that happened. That really happened only because they pushed all these institutions out, right? Now, when you see this one tweet from CZ and then you see this one, you kind of get an idea where this is going. Large amount of crypto is being moved, and he was really talking about gate.io and crypto.com, I believe. And that means hold your assets. Stay away. You get that idea? So that's why a lot of people are now moving into this particular one. And it's like, if you look at Binance and the trade volume for different assets, you kind of see three of them, the valid, decentralized stuff, getting more volume. And that's what we are doing in the Patreon. We are actually entering into those trades, seeing how things are going to boom. Maybe it can take 30 days, 40 days, who knows? But if you can double the money there, that is not a bad idea. So yes, there is concerns in the market. But right now, when you go back, look at the history. This is the history for XRP. And if that's playing out, do we have pain short term? 100%. If you are not prepared well enough to take this move and we are breaking through 0.33, that does mean you're going all the way towards 0.29. Now, is it a big drop? No, because now if you're looking at this on a macro level, you're saying like, okay, this should actually hold because this has been a long-term support scenario. But right now, when you come here and look at this, okay, 0.29, where does it take us? You literally have to move your axis here and see like, okay, this is 0.3, but 0.29 can be hit because this support level was 0.29. The resistance here is 0.3. So putting that as a support resistance zone will give you something like this. So you are in between that range where you expect the market to do some miracle for us so that we can bounce back higher. And that's what happened here. With SEC case, the market dropped. XRP came all the way down to 0.2, got a bounce, and then dropped again. So if you notice this one, first was 63% drop, then we bounced and another 53% drop. So if we factor that into the current market situation, it kind of looks something like this. The first drop is 35%, we bounced, and the next one, which can be the C leg, possibly if we break 0.33, I reiterate that because if we get a bounce from here, the upside increases because the bulls are taking over even before bears are done, right? Now, if we break this one, yes, we are looking for 0.29, 0.3 range and then a bounce because the way the RSI is acting right now, it does show you that side of it, a possibility, right? So going back to the market, this is something you all need to understand. Now, Bitcoin and Ether, it's kind of similar. thought process. People are moving out. They don't really want to be on exchanges. But what's really interesting is the amount of new money coming into the market. $2.39 billion after yesterday's $4 billion, if I remember correctly, is not for sure retailers. You have to think that in a way, like if after all this amount of money is coming into the market, institutions are buying back, they definitely believe the thesis of buy when market is completely filled with blood, and even if it's yours, right? They are that kind of thought process. They have that thought process, and that's why they are institutional investors. So when we see this much amount of money coming into the market, don't be scared. The market can be way worse than this. With a lot of exchanges getting hit hard, we really don't know how many exchanges have what in their assets, and to stay liquid, what they're going to drop into the market. Because I saw one thing and that was crazy for me to actually digest, watching FTX having around 2 billion of SRM token, whereas the market cap of that was 84 million. And I'm like, okay, that's a great financial manager buying that asset for customers. And I'm like, okay, that does not actually suit for a big institution managing billions of dollars. But right now, there is nothing to do. What's even more interesting in this space is when this all stuff is happening, we are now going back to this one, right? We are really talking about what Christine Lagarde is kind of going towards, what she's talking about, and that kind of stuff. From the big banks, they're giving us this narrative like CBDCs are global, it's going to come out quickly. And as it actually comes out, you need to understand the market is not same as before. Say Ripple and XRP is now gaining attention in different areas. Great. And for the same market, some of those actors which were big giants in the market right now is dropping hard. So you kind of see some movements here and there, and this is one of the greatest description of someone giving here. And as I read through that, I'm like, okay, this really makes sense. But say, for example, he, in his thought process, he's giving over ledger, which is from, Quant, is better for that interoperability layer, connection, messaging, smart contract, that kind of stuff. But he strongly believes that for institutional use of settlement, XRP is much better. XRP ledger makes more sense. So if you actually think about how Interledger protocol is used to solve this issue, that is kind of, a great thought process. And as you read through this, it's like people are going to use this. That's where the institutional guys and the use case we talked about before comes into the picture. So yeah, we can neglect that and say there is no utility. But as an XRP investor, we have done our background work. We have done the time, diligence, and we understand why we are in this asset. Because that's when we come back to news like this, where, Bank of Korea, a central bank, is trying to learn through the CBDCs, and they are like, we went through this, but, we really don't understand this is going to work. Why? The scalability issue. Because they do believe there is a lot of scalability needed for them to adopt this technology, and that's not they in it. If you're in the market, make sure you're really in assets which has fundamentals, which are strong, and which can stay here in the market for a long time. Not like something this which can drop 90% in a week, which may not look good. Right now, CRO is down 50% for the week, and it is still continuing to the downside. Look at Solana, it's 60% down. So you put it this way, you see Solana is down 61%. Remember what we talked about Solana and its target, where it can go based on what we have seen in Luna, Celsius, FTX. If that's same pattern, same ideology happening in 3 different assets, hitting the targets or way below that, then Solana may not be an exception. Literally saying this time it's different for this asset is going to be really hard. If we are not smarter than history, it's better to follow history. So guys, if you received value, please do hit that like and subscribe button. And if you would like to take another minute, you can look at this channel. This is another channel which I started recently, and I hope you guys can actually take 5 minutes, listen to that, and inform if you liked it and if we can improve on that one. So that's it for today, guys. I'll meet you on the next video. Bye for now.